Hey folks, welcome to Running Retro. We are going to be continuing our playthrough of Metroid 2. We are rounding out the Metroid series because I was late to the party on Metroid 1, never played it. So since I had played Metroid 2, I felt like never having played Metroid 1, it was an interesting playthrough, but it would be good to give some perspective. And Metroid 2 is one of my favorites, so we will be continuing on our playthrough today, and we will see how far we can get. Well, let's pick her right back up. We just took care of a Metroid, and we are digging our way out. I do love those like octopi looking enemies. They're probably my favorite enemy in the game. I think they're really cool. You'll notice the screen was shaking there if you missed the first couple of videos where I explain it. That happens when you kill all of the Metroids in an area and you open up the next area. So if you are going around finding Metroids and the screen doesn't shake, you have not opened up any new areas and you need to keep searching what you have in front of you. Don't go into that stuff, it hurts. So this game is one of my favorites. I love Metroid 2. In the Metroid series, you know, it might be my favorite in the Metroid series. That's super controversial. A lot of people don't like it, but I feel like it really broke a lot of ground after the first one, and it's really aesthetically pleasing. The first Metroid I ever played was Metroid Prime. I like Metroid Prime. I think it's a good game, and I think it's a lot of fun. But my first side-scrolling 2D Metroid was actually Metroid 2. Somehow I missed Super Metroid in my childhood, which is really unfortunate. And thank goodness I've gotten to play it. And don't get me wrong, I love Super Metroid. I think it's a very, very good game. I don't know what I'm doing here. I only have 11 missiles, and I know that I'm going towards another Metroid. That's what it is. But Metroid 2, I think, is a much maligned game and doesn't get nearly enough credit for what it is and what it did. The way I like to look at it is, if you look at Metroid 1 to Metroid 2, Metroid 2 does everything the Metroid 1 did, but it does it right instead of wrong or obnoxious. And then it adds so much more content as well. And then when you get to Super Metroid does everything that 1 did right and this did right, and then adds a whole nother layer to it. And that's why it's such a masterpiece. But this game is a crucial step in that, and I think a very good one too. This guy just beats me up, doesn't he? Okay, so little tip and trick for this game: don't jump into the enemies. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like it sounds counterintuitive for sure, but don't do it. Don't jump into the enemies. They hurt. Shoot them. Headbutting them doesn't work in this game. Want headbutts, go for Streets of Rage. I don't know why I just decided to stand in there and take damage, but it did. Good times were had by all. Not really. Those are cool little animations, those things, though. I like those sprites. I think they're kind of neat looking. I don't care about health. I need missiles badly. But as I remember, there's actually there is a missile upgrade after one of these. I was starting to wonder whether I was going to run out of missiles before I beat that Metroid. That has definitely happened. They give you a lot of missiles in this game, and the drops are a lot more frequent and a lot more friendly than they are in Metroid 1, but they're still not so prevalent that you don't run a genuine risk of running out, and you don't need to plan ahead to figure out what's actually necessary. I don't even mind the climbs out of here, even though I still keep getting hit by those guys. As you can see, there's something I mentioned in the last video, when you, or maybe the first actually, that when you get hit by an enemy and you take damage, you can actually jump again. And that's really useful. Really useful. Those guys have an incredibly small hitbox. They're really quite frustrating sometimes to hit. I mentioned in a previous video on this that I am bad at the space jump. Somehow I got into a rhythm in this game, and I got a lot better at the space jump, although I think I lose my rhythm again here in a little bit. It is nice that they offer the missile refill right before the Metroid. I couldn't remember when I was going through this whether it was right before or right after, but I figured if it was right after, I would just suck up some damage and you know, forge ahead. Yeah, it's not that bad. None of the beta Metroids are that bad. And got the next area, which is nice. Picked up the missiles there because, again, missiles can get kind of scarce. And I actually, at the very beginning of the game, I missed 2 missile upgrades, so I know I'm not going to have as many as I'd like. And you need a lot. Well, you don't need a lot for the final boss. You can kill the boss in the final boss in 2 different ways, but I like missiles, so yeah. But that's because my mashing is okay. It's not great, but it's good enough to have a better time mashing than the alternatives. But we'll get to that when we get there. Does it always feel bad for everyone when you get a full health thing, like with that energy ball? You get a full health in a game, and then immediately you just lose it, and you're so close to full health though that it feels like a complete waste. So you kind of just want to grind all the health back just so you have full health, not because you need full health, but just because you're so close to having full health. That's the situation I was in here. I really wanted to have full health because look at that, I've got 4 full bars, but my health isn't actually topped off. Why wouldn't you top it off? I believe there is one more energy tank. Yeah, a lot of things in this game have very small hitboxes. They're very hard to hit with a lot of the weapons. There's an argument for keeping Spazer right at the beginning instead of going to Plasma, just because of how much area Spazer hits, and it doesn't do that much less damage than Plasma. In fact, I'm not sure it does less damage at all than Plasma. It just does less per connection. But if you connect with all 3, maybe it does do the same. I'll have to look into that at some point. Every time I see those heads, they look like big bird heads, but I actually kind of wonder what they are. I'm trying to look at the sprite in a different way. Leave a mention in the comments if you see something other than a gigantic bird head for those things. I much prefer the octopi, though. This is the only time in the whole game you need to shoot something like this with missiles. It made no sense to me the first time I came through here. I actually think that's one of the moments in this game that is just plain bad game design. There's no way you'd know to do it. There's no hint to do it. There's nothing. There's no way you would know that without, I mean, other than just realizing that you have no idea where to go and eventually trying everything. And that is how I figured that out, by the way. Look at how small that hitbox is. You got a shave and a haircut. But yeah, so those blocks, shooting them with missiles, utterly non-intuitive. Never would have thought of it. I actually kind of like this fight at the corridor because the Metroid is not limited. The Metroid can go into the walls and all that good stuff, but is just from the way it moves to attack you is somewhat restricted in its movement. It's kind of fun. And this starts our ascent into Endgame. And it's... I don't know, I find... I don't find that much satisfaction in this room, specifically. I don't know what it is, but... This Metroid is a real pain just because of how you have to jump up in here, and if you get knocked down, then you have to come back in here and start all over again, and that can be kind of maddening. This doesn't feel like it's endgame, but it actually kind of is. I never really realized that, like, halfway through the game is endgame. It's kind of weird. I know there has to be a way to get to that missile. Yeah, there we go. And again, there's that problem of, wait a minute, I've got, you know, I'm now shy 4 health. Come on. Doing the space jump through screen transitions like that is, to me, really difficult. It really messes with you. Trying to dodge that little guy is kind of obnoxious as well, but doable. Doable, just obnoxious. I should have just used Spring Ball. I thought it was a missile upgrade for some reason. I forgot that it was a missile refill. If I'd remembered that it was a missile refill, I would have just ignored it. I have a lot of trouble hitting these guys. Obviously. There we go. See one more good example of how difficult it is to get far enough away from the bomb so it doesn't knock you off. And so help you if it does. Ugh. And finally, we see our Gamma Metroids. In my opinion, these guys are the hardest of the Metroids. The game doesn't always like to turn around very much, and they like to stay right on top of you. Just get right on top of you, right behind you, and play to sort of a problem with the game. But one thing you'll notice is you can only have one missile on screen at a time. However, just because you can only have one missile on the screen at a time, if you get right in their face and you're firing them point blank, then you can mash, and the missiles, if they never appear on screen, you hit them as fast as you mash. And oh man, does that do some really, really good stuff later. That's why these guys are harder than in my opinion, the last form of the Metroid because those guys actively avoid you, whereas the last Metroids come in and they do more of a tanking job and just do a ton of damage to you and stand right in your face and beat you up. But forgot a little bit where I was going there. And yay, good old screw attack. 10 Metroids left. Got the screw attack. Life is good. Again, I do really like that feeling in this game that things have sort of crumbled and are broken down. I can't believe I got that spider ball stick right there. If there's any way to do this other than the spider ball, actually I want to be on the other side of the screen, but I'm not, so just have to deal with that. And this is where I realized that and remember it. I may have remembered it before that, but as long as we're up here, might as well take care of whatever's left here. Sometimes I find that you do just come out of Morph Ball. Not in that situation. I just hit a spike there. But I do find that you come out of Morph Ball randomly. Yeah, every time you go off screen, all of the sand reappears. It's brutal. And I go ahead and just waste a missile for fun. I'm not too worried about my life here because I know that there's that full health ball over a couple screens ago. So if I really got that bad, I could backtrack, but you know, I'd like not to. This is the part where it's really difficult not to get hit by your own bombs, because you'll see like there, where I was with the spider ball just prevented me from moving any direction. So I kind of didn't have a choice but to get hit there, which is unfortunate. And there, like, it's, yeah, you're right on the edge. If you are not getting hit by it, then that explosion is on the periphery of where you are. And that's why you see me be so paranoid about a lot of this, because of how large the explosion radius is on that, and how easy it is to get caught in it. I start getting a lot more cautious. And then if you put it off screen, it doesn't blow up either. So it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. It's so rough. Nice little free refills there. Getting out of here is time consuming but easy. And now for maybe one of the most obnoxious things they've come up with. Although I guess I'm not going to do it immediately. I'm thinking about it, but I know I don't want to do it. So I'm going to go take care of a Metroid first. I do love these sort of precise jumps, even though I mess them up. There's something really pleasing about winding your way through these. Another gamma? No, just a beta. I don't know, I kind of feel like it should have been another Gamma. I'm glad it wasn't, but I feel like it should have been. Relatively quick work of him. Hop on over here. Take a little damage straight to the face. You know, as usual. As you gonna. I can't remember. I thought there was a secret to get in there, but it isn't. Instead, I just fall all the way down. And take damage, which is actually kind of convenient, frankly. Yeah, trying to remember where I'm actually supposed to go here. Haven't really had the opportunity to do much with the screw attack. So it's kind of nice to be able to use and abuse it here. Got a free save point. That's nice. Excuse me, guys. Love how he just sloths off that shell. Really gives you the feeling that this Metroid's a real monster. And you can see how they just keep floating right on your head and will not let up. And they hit like a tank. So. This area is kind of weird. And I do tend to get a little lost in it. In my previous run, I had forgotten this missile upgrade, so I forget the easiest upgrades in this and remember the one that's sort of out of the way. But, yeah. Making the climb back. So after this, this is sort of the beginning of Endgame, but the real end is coming up and quite difficult. So at least I think it's quite difficult. So what I know is I've got this Metroid here. And there's really not that many places to recharge or refill. And this guy's nasty because he's a Gamma inside all of the sand. So you're just so restricted that this fight always feels like it could go really, really south on you. And it kind of does. I mean, it doesn't go horribly awry, but it goes kind of awry here. So I know that I want to focus on beating as many things here and then touching the full health and missiles one time really quickly before I start going to true endgame. And so that's what you see me doing here is I know I'm about to go get full health, so I'm being a little bit of a dunce and taking damage. But the reason is because I know I'm going for full health, and I know I'm going for full missiles here. So. Those last 6 Metroids are a doozy. So they're not... I still don't think they're harder than the Omega Metroids. I mean, they're not harder than the Gamma Metroids. I think the Gamma Metroids are the hardest Metroids in the game. But... the Omegas are a close second. I also know that, and if I'd thought about it, I would have done this first too, but I know I'm going for more health, so I don't need to worry about getting hit too much, but this E-Tank is an absolute nightmare. I was trying to figure out how to explain how to get it, and I'm really not sure how to explain it. I mean, I know how to get it, and I will get it here in a second, but it's really quite difficult to explain. So that E-Tank right there. So, this is not a graphical glitch. You literally have no idea where you're going. I use bombs to watch where I'm going, and a lot of times you can use the spider ball to sort of work your way around here. But there is an actual bombable spot there to get that missile. So if you get that, then it's a lot harder to it's a lot easier to get out. But it is a lot harder to get out because you then have a bombable spot that closes back up. So this is by far my least favorite thing to do in the game. And I'm a completionist, so I feel like I have to do it. It was eating me up that I missed a missile upgrade. It'd drive me nuts if I missed that one too. A lot of ways I find the easiest thing to do is to go out the way you got the energy tank. Like that. Oh, I accidentally found my way back to... Yeah, well, okay. Whatever you do, as long as you get out, it's a good time. So total I missed 4 missiles. 4 missile upgrades. I know where 2 of them are. They're where I mentioned I'd missed them. One of them is near the spring ball, and I missed that too. And I do not know where the last one is. I really shouldn't have used missiles for that, but I did. Do I learn from my mistake? No, I don't. And a light shines in a dark place. I never knew you could go up through that floor. You need the ice beam for the end here, so... And there really aren't any basic enemies for the most part leading up to that, so it just made sense to go grab that. I don't know what happened there. Alright guys, we'll call it a day there. Thanks for joining us. If you like it, like, subscribe, hit the bell on your way out. We do gameplay videos on Tuesdays. We do modding videos on Thursdays, modding, repair, refurbishment, just things for the community to help them upkeep their systems. On Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we have live streams. Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do RPGs. Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we just do something fun that the community would like to see or that we want to play. And then on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do Getting Good, where I play a game that is either very hard or I've never played or both, and we bang our head against it and see how good we can get. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but it usually involves a pretty steep learning curve that we hit reasonably well. So come check us out. If you want to see more of our videos and know when things are happening, go down below and check out our Discord channel where we just talk about a lot of old games. We've got our Facebook page, our webpage, and our Twitter. So go take a look at those. Follow us, join us, join in the discussion in the chat. And if there's anything you'd like to see, leave it a message just below, and we appreciate it. We'll see you soon.